Hello friends, and welcome to the Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you know that this is my new series, my deep dive into the Egyptian Tarot by C.C. Zane. And it's been a very interesting journey. I'm starting to feel like I'm getting my sea legs, as they say. I'm starting to get a little bit of my bearings to mix all the metaphors I can possibly cram into just a couple of sentences. And so hopefully I'll be adding some more clarity to each one of these videos as we progress. So just in case you are a first-time visitor, let me give you the lowdown. What I'm doing is a deep dive into the Egyptian Tarot by C.C. Zane, and it's a different deck. It's a very different deck. It's neither a continental tarot deck, nor is it a Golden Dawn-based deck. It is it's of a tradition. And I've got a video kind of explaining a little bit about that. But so just keep it in mind that this is a unique deck and it has unique associations. And so what do? Every day, but it's a beautiful deck. Every day, the night before I go to bed, I pull my daily draw card. And because it is a brand new system to me, I use a deck that I am more comfortable with, that I'm beginning to become more comfortable with, and I want to continue using to continue to grow in my comfort with this deck. It is the Tarot of the Holy Light by Christine Payne-Towler. And interestingly enough, I don't know if I've mentioned this to you before. I think I have. The creator of the deck that I'm using as my helper deck, as my assistant deck, as my mentor deck, the creator of that deck says that she, and I quote, cut her teeth on the Egyptian Tarot. So pairing these two together makes absolute sense in many ways. So again, I pull my daily draw card for the day, and then I do a 3-card spread using the Tarot of the Holy Light to help me unpack the card that I had drawn from the Egyptian Tarot. And I do a typical 3-card spread. Yeah, the first card is the energy, the situation. The second card is the challenge, both positive or negative, depending on the card. And the third card is advice, what to do or what not to do. Yeah, so I did that, and let me show you the daily draw card for today. Here it is. Welcome back. So you saw the daily draw card for today was the 9 of Cups. And if you are new here, you may be wondering, why were there 2 9s of Cups? One in color and one in black and white. Well, it's because this color deck is mass market and is still available very easily. And so this is the deck I shuffle. This deck is an older deck, the gray and white one. This deck, I think, was published when I was born. And so this is my birth deck. And so I don't want to shuffle this deck. I want to keep it as pristine as I possibly can. This one I can replace. This one is more difficult to replace. So I shuffle this deck, I pull my card, and then I pull the same card out of this deck so I can look at both of them together. And you're looking at them both together again, right there. And you see that they are the 9 of Cups. There is some variation in the constellations as drawn in the cups, but you'll also notice that while the positions of the cups are basically the same, because the sizes of the cups are different, we get a tighter looking pattern in this card and a more open looking pattern in this card. And frankly, I usually prefer the color version because the clarity in the gray and white version that I have is not so great. But in this case, I kind of prefer the gray and white one. What do you think? I like that we see more separation between the cards, and so between the cups, I mean. And so I just like it a little bit better. Anyways, and it's a little bit easier to see the constellation in the gray and white card for this card, not in all of the cards. Sometimes it's easier to see the constellation in the color deck, but this time, for me, it's easier to see the constellation in the black and white. And they're basically, they're drawn basically the same in this case. Sometimes they're a little bit different. So, without more preamble, what do we get with the Nine of Cups? Well, the Nine of Cups points to Scorpio, the Scorpio decanate of Pisces, and its sub-ruler Mars, or Pluto, depending on whether you're using the 7 visible lights only in your associations, or if you're going to include all of the planets, including the now non-planet, the dwarf, what is it called? What are we calling it? A dwarf planet? Pluto. So it's either the decanate of Pisces, the Scorpio decanate of Pisces and its sub-ruler Mars, or Pluto, from which we get the fixed aspect of mutable water, vital attributes, entering into our universe through these cards. So now, if just in case you don't fully understand what I just said there, each of the houses, which are houses for signs like Pisces and Leo, each one of those houses and signs is split up into three decanates, 3 sets of 10 degrees. And so in a standard model, the first decanate of each sign is that sign. So you'd get Pisces of Pisces. Yeah? The second decanate would be a different sign within the same element of signs. For example, Pisces would be another water sign, and then the third would be the third water sign. So we've got each one of those. And so for the Nine of Cups, we have, again, the Scorpio decanate of Pisces. So the first decanate of Pisces was Pisces. The second decanate of Pisces was Cancer. The third decanate of Pisces is here Scorpio. And because it's Scorpio is fixed, right? So this is the fixed aspect of mutable water. Mutable water is Pisces. Pisces is mutable, Scorpio is fixed. So the fixed aspect of mutable water. And maybe this is the last time I'm going to go through it in that fashion, but just in case you are new to this, I wanted to lay it out. So what does that mean for us? Oh, well, there's also that constellation I mentioned, right? So who is that constellation? Well, that is Cassiopeia. Do you know Cassiopeia? Cassiopeia is very famous. Let me show you that constellation up in the sky right now. So that was Cassiopeia. Yeah. Now, just in case you don't know Cassiopeia, let me give you a little bit of background. Yeah. Cassiopeia was known for her beauty. Her and her daughter were both known for their beauty. Her daughter was Andromeda. You know Andromeda? Andromeda is also another constellation, but in mythology, Cassiopeia's daughter was Andromeda. And Cassiopeia was very proud of their beauty, was very vain, in fact, was renowned for her vanity. And so she would brag. She would brag about the beauty of her and her daughter. And she eventually got so much hubris, ego, hubris, that she said that she was more beautiful than the daughters of the ocean god. Now, this made that ocean god a little bit angry. In fact, it frankly pissed him off. And so, it was decided that for punishment, Andromeda was going to get tied to a rock, as all pretty maidens are wont to do. So Andromeda was going to get tied to a rock, and a monster was going to attack her and kill her, to pay back her mother for her pride. But guess what? There's, of course, a hero. Yeah, Perseus. Perseus comes in and saves the day. He saves Andromeda. And Poseidon says, okay, Andromeda gets a pass. But Cassiopeia still has to pay. And so Poseidon chains Cassiopeia to a chair up in the sky, up in the heavens, as the constellation. And so that's why you get that's why we see that kind of lounge chair image to the constellation. That's her chained to her chair, her lounge, her chair. So you're thinking, yeah, so she's chained up there, but what's so bad? Well, the idea was that for half of the day she would, or half of the year, she would be upside down. An uncomfortable thing for eternity. So that was her punishment for her hubris. So what do we get from, what does that teach us about the Nine of Cups? The Nine of Cups, there is beauty here. There is attractiveness here. But there's a warning to not get too puffed up, not to get too inflated by the happiness of this card, because you get too big in the head, you're going to get cut down or tied up to a chair. So that's Cassiopeia. So again, what do we have? We have the Scorpio decadent of Pisces. So Pisces is that open, deep, spiritual end of the zodiac wheel suit, right? It's not suit, I'm sorry. I'm total tarot. Sign. And Scorpio lends a little bit of harshness. So does Mars, adds a little bit of harshness, but it also energizes a little bit as well. Now, in many systems, in many decks that I know, the Nine of Cups is the wish card, right? It's famously known as the wish card. And frankly, that's not far off as a way of reading this card as well. Now, according to C.C. Zane, this is hopes will be realized. This is the wish card for C.C. Zane as well. But also, our passions will be transcended by exalted love. Our passions to do things, to experience things, to our emotional passions, to create and to have, those will be transcended by exalted, heightened spiritual love. Desire is replaced by affection, perhaps. And it grants a little bit of emotional stability to us. Now, nines are stable numbers, right? Sometimes the nine could be that last bit, like the last-ditch effort that is exhausting. But here we're going for emotional stability and wisdom in affairs of the heart, which is a wonderful card to have received for today. And I was highly anticipatory of how the day would turn out. But still, I wanted a little help. I wanted a little bit of unpacking. What would this card mean for me today? And so I did my 3 cards pull from the Tarot of the Holy Light. And let me show you those cards right now. So you just saw the 3 cards that were my helper cards for today, right? You saw from left to right, we got in order the Ace of Swords and the Ace of Swords up reversed, right? The 8 of Swords upright, and then the 3 of Swords reversed. So what do we have? We've got all of this. We've got a crap load of swords in a 9 of Cups reading. Yeah, and that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Now, when we think of our joy, when we think of the happiness, even the happiest cup card can have the potential for being disrupted. And the way that our happiness is most often disrupted is it usually doesn't start with something that we're doing in the physical world with an action or a passion. It usually the disruption usually begins with what? With what? With our thoughts, with our unclear thoughts, or with our thoughts that suddenly shift to the negative, or to something that causes fear. It's usually the problems are usually preceded by a thought event, right? So it makes sense that in this wonderful, happy Nine of Cups card day, that the helper deck is saying, good, be careful, be aware of your thoughts, because you could you could disrupt it for yourself, not mess it up. Nothing really gets messed up. We never get it wrong. There are no ships can sail, but there's always another ship. So where are we going with this? We start, like I said, we start with the Ace of Swords reversed. And I love this card. This is a beautiful card. Let me show it to you upright. Now, I actually made a spread using this card as inspiration, as a model for the spread. And if you're interested in looking for that spread, it's on my Spreads and More Spreads playlist. And I used that for several weeks a few months ago. It's a really good spread. It's a useful spread. And it's inspired by this beautiful card. And what do we see in this card? We see the sword piercing up, right? We see the two-headed red bird in the center. Two heads, two minds, right? We've got what looks like a dragon biting its own tail, giving us a sense of an Ouroboros. Yeah, the eternity, cycles, portals of creation, portals of realization. And then we've also got the 7 visible lights here. And the sword is piercing one of those, the one in the center. You can see that, yes? Now for me, that one in the center is Saturn. For a reason, because we have the sun and the moon are a natural pair. And there are, for me, natural pairs for other planets as well. Yeah, Mercury, Mars and Venus. Mars and Venus are a natural pair. Mercury and Jupiter, for me, are a natural pair. The one who's, for me, a standalone is Saturn. So when I look at this card, I see Saturn there in the middle being pierced, which is interesting. But even more interesting is the association of this card. What do you see? Do you see at the bottom? We have the Ace of Swords pointing to the Libra decade of Libra and its subruler Venus, from which the cardinal aspects of cardinal air, vital attributes, enter our world. So, yeah, Libra of Libra, super Libra, yeah, cardinal of cardinal air. Yeah, the cardinality and the Libra qualities are supersized with this card. So, what is this? Yeah, Libra and thought and air, a balanced mind, yeah, a balanced brain, left and right aspects working in concert, merging dichotomous thoughts and communication preferences to form the divine and celestial blade of clarity and speaking the universe into creation. Yeah, this card helps us bring together different aspects of our psyche. The left, the right, the analytical, the holistic. Yeah, the future thinking, the reflective, the investigative, the soul searching. The different aspects are brought together to unify, and as that is unified in thought process and in ways of communicating, we're able to then speak creation, because that is how creation began, right? Creation begins with a word, a spoken word, a sound. In the Judeo-Christian tradition and in the Hindu tradition with Om, the sound is spoken. It's an air sign, an air suit, an air action. And this card upright gives us clarity. Reversed, it's not so much saying that you're all messed up. However, it is saying that we need, more particularly at this moment, discipline of the mind. We need our thoughts clear and cohesive, because every thought that we have is going to create. It's saying that we will experience the results of our beliefs whether we like them or not. If we're believing love and happiness and joy, we'll experience the results of that. If we're believing anxiety and fearful situations, we will experience the results of that. Now, our beliefs are we project them out into the world, and then we experience them back. So we want to examine our very commonly mixed motives for our speech events and our thought events, and clean that up as best we can, because there is potential for fracturing things here. So that is the situation for me with that Nine of Cups, is that I want to be clear with my head. Good advice, right? And so the challenge was the Eight of Swords upright, right? The Eight of Swords here, we've got the sun in the morning and the moon at night, right there in the card. We got the Eight Swords in lattice form. And you might get that idea like the Eight of Swords in a Rider-Waite-Smith deck. Yeah, the woman who is bound, her eyes are bound, her body is frankly a little bit loosely bound, and there are eight swords around her, and there's clearly an escape, but she has to be willing to take the escape route, right? She has to be willing to loosen the bonds of her own will, take the blindfold off, and find the path out. We get a sense of that a little bit. And there's a little bit, I don't know if you notice this, there's a little drop of blood right there on that one sword. So what is the Eight of Swords? Well, this is also an air sign, an air card, right? So the Eight of Swords points to the Aquarius decadent of Gemini, and the sub-ruler Saturn or Uranus, depending on which way you associate planets, from which the fixed aspect of mutable air vital attributes enter into the world. The fixed aspects of mutable air. So we do have that potential for being bound. But in this deck, in this pack, in this card, the upright version is not so bad as we usually think of in the Golden Dawn Eight of Swords. It is a test. It is a test of one's mettle. But we probably will pass the test. We will probably be able to navigate the challenges when this card is upright. So our confidence and our energy will carry us through to winning the day. But Saturn, I just said that, Saturn, especially if we see Saturn as the sub-ruler for this card, Saturn demands excellence, right? Saturn is a harsh taskmaster. So we need, again, to be clear. We need to be careful. And that was the advice from me for today. And that situation of the Ace of Swords reversed, where it's saying be careful, that be careful is emphasized again in this card. And so the next one, what did we get? We got the Three of Swords, but in reverse. Let me show you the Three of Swords upright. There it is. Instead of the heart being pierced by the swords, we've got an the omphalos, right? The omphalos, the cosmic egg being pierced by the swords. And you'll see that do you know the Thoth system? Do you know the Thoth majors? The hermit One of my favorite cards on the Thoth is the Hermit card. The Hermit is peering through some reeds, and on the other side of the reeds, I think it's outside of the reeds, might have been on the inside, but I think it's on the outside, there is a cosmic egg wrapped with a serpent, just like this, with no swords in it. But here we've got that cosmic egg being pierced by swords. It's a gorgeous card. But we still got that power triangle at the top, right? So the Three of Swords, upright, can be ready to break open. But in reverse, we get something a little bit different. So here, it's suggesting that, well, there is potential for fear and loss here. Now, we usually think of the Golden Dawn decks, especially the Rider-Waite-Smith, the Smith-Waite deck drawn by Pamela Coleman Smith. We think of the heart stabbed by swords, and it's the heartbreak card, right? I read it a little bit differently, but there's still that quality of lessons learned from painful experiences. Here we're saying that there is potential that we will have some of that, but rather than fearing loss, rather than fearing that heartbreak, we want to be clear about what we will stand up for and what we will protect in our lives. Rather than being scared that, oh my God, I'm going to lose my whatever, my boyfriend or my girlfriend, my job, I'm going to lose something really precious and important to me. My children are going to be angry at me. My dog's going to bite me. Instead of being afraid of all that, because fear, again, is going to make our thoughts unclear. Rather than doing that, we want to find clarity about what am I going to stand up for. So that instead of worrying about what I will lose, I'm going to place my attention on what I will maintain and protect. Not hold on to and make sure it won't get away, but what will I protect? That's a very different stance, isn't it? And that sometimes letting go is the best option. There are some things that it is in our best interest to let go of, to cut our losses. And we want to release ourselves to be able to move forward from stagnation in order to get to greater integration. And that's what this card is here to tell us. Now, sometimes cutting, you know how they say fish or cut bait? Sometimes cutting the bait is the best way for us to move forward, and we begin the process or our continuing work, our continuing process of integration, of self-actualization. Because while we're still here demanding that we get that we catch the fish, that's clearly not coming. We're not moving forward. We're stuck. We become stagnant. So sometimes it's best to cut loose and move forward. Right? So what do we get here? What were the cards telling us? Well, they're telling me especially, that today's pot has the potential of great hope and great joy and spiritual satisfaction, but be careful of your brain. Yeah, we want to be sure that we're integrated. We want to be sure that we're thinking in balance. We want to be sure that we have discipline. And that second card of challenge is that the challenge here is that I can recognize that I can succeed and I can have what I want. I can have what I want, become what I want, experience what I want. That the door is open for me, but Saturn is demanding excellence from me. And that there will still be, even in these Nine of Cups scenario, There will be things that I will want to cut away and let go, right? So let me tell you how my day went. Day was actually pretty good. And it really did feel like a Nine of Cups day, especially at the beginning, because I started off the day, I got into my office and I started working on my computer, doing my preparatory work for this video, in fact. And I started chatting with someone who is very dear to me. And this dear person to me, who lives far away, has indicated, whether just because they thought that I would be more interested in them if they said this, if they said they wanted me to be a mentor, that they want to learn from me, if they thought I would be more interested in them if they said that or not, or if they actually did want my mentorship, that they really thought they could learn something from me. Either way, we got it. My dear one said to me something that was not bad, wasn't exactly wrong, but was self-contradictory. And so I thought, okay, so this is a wonderful opportunity, because we've been communicating pretty openly so far. This is a great opportunity to bring up the possibility that maybe my dear one might consider reflecting on the contradictions of what they were saying. And let me just briefly, suddenly the attitude changed. and probably I may have not been as subtle and as careful as I thought I was being. I didn't think I needed to be careful so much, because we seemed to be communicating pretty well, pretty openly. And so I thought, so maybe you're ready to talk about this, and clearly was not ready. And suddenly all of these walls of all this defensiveness came up, and part of me wanted to, cut bait and run, but I thought, no, this isn't that situation. Not yet, at least. I'm not going to be the one to cut bait and run. Let's see if my dear one is going to be the one to run away. So after all lobbing these bombs of, well, you want me to be different, you want me to change, you can't accept me for who I am, which none of that was true. I mean, none of that was even part of what we were talking about. And they even said a couple of things that I had not even said. You said this, and I said, no, I never would have said that to anybody. I would never say that you have to change to be acceptable. I would never say anything like that. And so after a bunch of these lobs, I said, okay, I'm sorry that you felt that way, and yet I am still here. Well, you won't love me unless I am. I said, no, that's not true. And so I am still here. And so I kept bringing it back to that. I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm still here. Continue doing what you're doing. I'm still here. Perhaps you're not ready. I'm still here. Perhaps I recognize your resistance. I'm not resistant. I understand you're angry. I'm not angry. Now, this was all during chat. I mean, I didn't hear tone of voice, but you can tell by the way things are saying, by the things that people say and the way that they say them. There is an emotional content even in text messages that one sentence thing can be misconstrued, certainly, but these groups of texts were not easily misconstrued. At least I don't think so. And so I kept repeating, I'm here, and I'm here. And whenever you're ready, I'm ready. I'm always ready. Well, you're clearly not ready now, but I'm still here. I'm here. And it doesn't have to be now. Anytime you want to, I want to learn. Really? Okay, well, I feel resistance, but I'm still here. That's how the conversation continued. And I talked them down. My dear one and I got back into the groove, and I said, whenever you feel ready and open to perhaps considering that some of the things I have saying, not saying that I'm right, I'm not saying I know it all, but that some of the things I'm saying might be worth considering. When you're ready for that, I will still be here too. And so we we talked through that, and that if at the end of it all, I felt really good. I felt like, yes, this was a Nine of Cups moment, a Nine of Cups experience, moving through that resistance. And so I continued working, feeling pretty good, pretty happy. And then I got some other messages from somebody who is very interested in me, and that's where I started to lose it. Not in a bad way, but I lost it in a really good way. I started getting very excited and distracted, and so I left. I looked at my watch and said, "Oh, I've got to go. I've got to catch a bus. I need to go do things to get ready for my trip to go teach at this winter camp." And so I left the office and I went out and I went to a store, and I planned to perhaps purchase some shoes that were fairly expensive, and frankly, and they didn't have my size. They said that they would order my size, and I wasn't exactly sure that they were big enough for me. I have a hard time finding shoes here in South Korea. My feet are too big for this country. But they ordered the biggest size that they have in the country, and so I was supposed to go in either yesterday or today to try it on, and if it fit, I was going to buy them because I need some good shoes for very icy cold weather at this winter camp. But I really didn't want to pay that much money. But I thought if they fit, I'll buy them. So I went in today, and the person was not there. I mean, I got the text message that I could come in anytime when I'm ready, and I went in, no one there. And so I thought, okay, so this is the universe telling me that this is not the right time. And so I thought, well, maybe this is the cut bait and get going. And so I went to I had to get a COVID test to go to the camp tomorrow, and that put me in stress. Those kinds of tests I don't like. It's not more than I don't like them. I feel unsettled, and I feel like my fate is in the hands of a machine in some ways. And I know that's all silly fear or silly insecurity, but that's how I felt. But I went in, I got the test, and it was negative. I'm fine, which I assumed I would be. And then I realized something when I got home to start packing. I realized that I forgot something. I forgot the water pitcher in my office. You're thinking, water pitcher, so what? Well, we're going to live in these apartments. Semi-furnished apartments are provided for the faculty, and that's all nice, but I doubt that there will be any water purifiers or water filters available to us. And I really wanted to have something because we're going into the mountains. I can't expect that the water quality is going to be excellent there. And I just like to have filtered water. There you go. And so I was going to bring my water filter from my office with me, and I left it in my office. And if I buy another one, that's another like $50 to get one here at a store. And so I was all distraught about that for a while, but I think we worked it out. And I got packed, and now I'm here. And so I saw it. I saw that the warning was a valid warning, and I let myself get distracted by something that I was really enjoying, actually, but it did distract me from the laser focus that Saturn wanted me apparently to have, and I left something behind. And maybe, who knows, maybe I probably could have gotten those shoes, and maybe I would have been happier with those shoes in the long run, but it is what it is. It is what it is. And so I think this reading did accurately describe my day for me. And yet I do feel a sense of fullness now that the day is done and I'm here with you. I do feel a sense of fullness. I do feel joy. I do feel, joy. I feel satisfied. I feel happy to be here, especially here with you. And I feel happy with the conversations I had in the morning. And I don't feel like I need to beat myself up anymore about my loss of focus, which is a good thing to learn, a good thing to know. And so I'm curious to see what my cards for tomorrow are going to be, and how this actual journey, we leave for the camp tomorrow. So I'll be curious to see what my cards for the travel day are going to be. And I'll tell you what those cards are going to be tomorrow. So friends, if you want to see that and you want to get notification of when I upload that video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the alarm bell. And hit the thumbs up button too, so that YouTube knows that you got something out of this, and it will draw more people to the channel, and maybe some other people might get something out of this series as well. And if you, I'd love to hear from you too. What did you think of this? Do you see how those cards really did seem to describe my day for me in advance? Am I being clear enough? I'd love to hear from you. What do you think? And if you want a private reading from me, my email address is below. Shoot me an email and we can work out a reading for you. I really would love to read for you one time, or two, or three, or more. And also, if you want to get either the color version of the Egyptian Tarot, not this one. This one you have to get on eBay, but this one you can get through Amazon. There will be a link below. And if you want this beautiful deck by Christine Payne-Towler, there's a link to that below as well. Okay? Links for days. So friends, now and always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.